Hi everyone and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper. Today I'm going to show you another card made using the Snowflake Wishes stamp set. It's a fancy fold card, but the stamping is quite simple, just using a mix of colours and just that one stamp set. So let's get started. I don't have an example to show you because I'm sort of creating this a little bit on the hoof, as it were. So I saw this fancy fold demonstrated by two lovely ladies who go under the name of Two Big Girls Crafting. They're fellow Stampin' Up demonstrators, and they do some wonderful things. We were very lucky enough to have them spend some time on our UK demonstrator website, or Facebook page actually, and shown us some cards, and that's where I saw this fold. I didn't get the instructions, but I remembered the fold and worked out a way of making it myself. So my apologies to them if this is completely different to theirs and I'm offending them in any way, but hopefully they'll get the gist. So we're going to start with a piece of Night of Navy cardstock. Now I love Night of Navy for Christmas cards. Green is great, red is great. But I'm not really that much of a traditionalist when it comes to making greetings cards. I like to go a bit off piece with the colours, but I do love a good bit of Night of Navy because you can just do so much with it. So what I've done is I've taken an A4 sheet of Night of Navy. So A4 if you're in the UK, if you're watching anywhere else in the world and your paper is a different size, then please forgive me for this. And I have cut it lengthways at 14.8 centimetres. So this is the entire length, hopefully you can see that, of an A4 sheet, and it's cut down to 14.8. So I've just trimmed a section off the side that's about that wide. Okay, now this is called a double gatefold as far as I'm aware. Again, if it's got another name, then please let me know. So what I've done is I have then gone along and I have scored it. And please forgive me while I read from my instructions just to make sure I'm giving you the right instructions. So I have scored it at 5.25 centimetres, 10.5 centimetres, 21 centimetres, and 26.25 centimetres. And this will give us all the components for the main body of our card. So what actually happens is that the first fold is a mountain fold, then a valley fold, then another valley fold, then another mountain fold, and you'll see that that all actually goes flat to make a gatefold card. Now you'll also notice that one of the front flaps is smaller than the other one. That's because our UK A4 cardstock is not 31.5 centimetres long, which is what you would have needed it to be to make this card with two matching flaps, but that's fine because we're going to add another piece in. So what I've then gone on to do is cut another piece of Night of Navy, and this piece is cut at 10.5 centimetres by 14.8, which is the same size as the base card. So that will then attach to the smaller flap to open, and then you won't actually notice, unless you look really hard, that that piece was short. And then on top of that, I've then got a piece of Whisper White, and this piece is cut slightly smaller than the card front, so it's cut at 10 centimetres by 14.3, and this is the piece that we're going to be working on. Now I've looked at the designer series paper that comes in with the Snowflake Splendour suite, and if you're not aware of this, if you look on the back, I'm just going to grab mine, excuse me, the packaging's getting a bit ripped. If you look on the back of our DSP, I'm just trying to get that up so you can see but it doesn't blur. Up here at the beginning is in English, so it says Snowflake Splendour Designer Series paper, and underneath that are all the colours that I used. So all of our designer series paper coordinates with our ink pads, our embellishments and all the rest of it. So you can see that the colours used throughout this pack of paper are listed there. Now obviously some of them are different colours. So I can tell that one's got Highland Heather, some Calypso Coral and some Balmy Blue in it. And then obviously if you flick over to some of these ones, that's very much more pool party. So you can guesstimate what is on each sheet if you've got the ink colours. So what we're going to do, we're just going to go in with some stamping. So I've got the two bigger stamps, which is these two here. They're the biggest snowflakes in the set. And then I've got the two sort of collections of snowflakes. You might have seen me use those before. And then there are these sort of medium size snowflakes. So I think most of you that have watched any of my YouTube videos can guess where this is going. And you could actually make this up as a one sheet wonder. So what we're going to do, we're going to pick 3 colours, because if you use too many it can start to get a little bit muddy. So we're going to go with the Highland Heather. Night of Navy is actually one of the colours in that designer series paper, but because our base is made of Night of Navy, we're not going to use that one for now. Also in there are Misty Moonlight and Pacific Point. We may come back with some of those, but I'm going to go for the Highland Heather, the Coastal Cabana, and then we've got Pool Party and Balmy Blue, and they are very slightly different blues, but the Pool Party is a bit more of a sort of greeny blue, if that makes sense. So I think we're going to go with that. So we're going to start with the Coastal Cabana, and as I said before, you could do this as a one sheet wonder and cut it up. The different sizes of the snowflakes lend really well to make them one sheet wonders. Now I don't know if you can see, but I've got, just lift that up so you can see, I've got a bit there where it didn't stamp so well, and that's because I am stamping with photopolymer stamps on a hard surface, although I've got a cutting mat and a piece of grid paper under here. So I've just pulled in, turn over that side, just pulled in one of my stamp mats, and let me just show you the difference that makes there. Can you see that? We've got a proper image. That's fine. I'm not going to try and line it up and do it again. We'll cover that up in another way. So I'm just going in with that biggest snowflake stamp in the Calypso Coral. No, Coastal Cabana. I knew they began with a C. And then we're going to add in some Highland Heather to that. So you can see I'm just stamping off. If you're worried about your mat, then put a piece of computer paper or something underneath. I tend to just wipe mine over with some rubbing alcohol, and it takes the ink off, but you wouldn't want to be doing this with something you were a bit precious about. Okay, so we're going to go back in to the stamp set. Now you can see there are 2 sheets of stamps in here, so there are a lot of snowflakes in this stamp set. And what we're going to do is I'm going to pick one of the slightly smaller ones to sort of infill with. And I think we will have a skinnier one. Let's just find a block to put that on. Okay. And we're going to go in with the Pool Party for this one. So I'm just going to ink that up. You can see actually this would probably almost be easier to do as a one sheet wonder, because you've got a bigger area. Now this is quite a pale colour, but that's just given us a little bit of sort of background detail, as it were. Right, okay, I think that will do for that one. And then I'm just going to come in with the little collection of snowflakes, and I think we'll crack open the Balmy Blue for that, just trying to keep it to paler colours really. And we're just going to pop some of those in. Now if you were making a lot of Christmas cards, to do this as a one sheet wonder would be the way to go in my opinion, because obviously from that one A4 sheet you can get quite a few cards. And the other thing you could do is actually, where I've stamped these little ones, you could actually use a Versamark stamp pad, which is tacky, and then add some heat embossed areas as well, which would make it super sparkly. Okay, so I'm going to go with that for now. So I'll clean that later. Just sling that on the floor. I think everybody else is a bit like me. They just go in and sling things on the floor. Yeah, okay. So I think I'm almost happy with that. I just want one more little snowflake. And actually, I think we will go in with the heat gun and some embossing powder, if you'll pardon me while I just reach for some. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to get my Versamark ink pad out, and mine is absolutely filthy, but we do sell a re-inker for the Versamark ink pad. I'm just, excuse me a minute while I'm just rummaging for some embossing powder. Bear with me a second, everybody, please. Right, okay, I found some silver embossing powder. Okay, I keep my embossing powder in these Chinese takeaway tubs and use like little medicine spoons. It just makes it easier. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go in. I've just got this little oh, sorry, I'm wobbling the camera. This little single snowflake, and we're just going to pop a few of those dotted about randomly. I told you this was going to be card making on the hoof, didn't I? Okay, we'll leave it at that for now and we'll see where they are. And I'm just going to grab one of my little tidy trays. Okay, so let's take the lid off the embossing powder and give it a shake. I'm getting a little bit low on embossing powder, so I need to add that to my next order. Can't do Christmas without shiny stuff. Now, ordinarily, I would have gone over this with an anti-static brush, but because we're sort of crafting on the hoop, as it were, on the hoof, I should say, not the hoop, on the hoof, then we'll have to live with that so we can see where those are. Now, always, always, always put the lid back on your embossing powder. Okay, I'm just going to reach for my heat gun, which is plugged in. Now, there's going to be a little bit of noise while I warm it up. Now, you can start on the back of your embossing, which sort of, it helps warm the gun up, but it also helps avoid warping with your cardstock. You can see it's starting to curl. So if at that point we turn it over, it should be warm enough to melt the embossing powder, and the heat will straighten out the cardstock as you heat it. Okay, just be aware that when this is heated, it's smudgeable, if you like. So you can see that cardstock's begun to warp again, so I'm just going to go over to the back and give it a little heat on the back. Okay, let's pop that down. Now you can see where we got our silver bits here. So I think we need maybe just a couple more because we didn't have anything in the middle. If I was making this on my own, it would be easier to see where I'd put the Versamark, because I could get my head over it and see where it was shining. It's not quite so easy when you're filming because the camera's in my way. Okay, so back in with my little tidy tray. I can't even see where I put it myself now. Right, so we'll go back in with our embossing powder, and it looks like I haven't really got very much in here, but a little bit does go a long way. Okay, so we're just going to shake over a bit more. Hopefully I got some in the middle there. It doesn't look like I did. Okay, let's have another go. Okay, well, that's very strange. Right, I got one at the top at least. I must have not inked it up at the middle. Okay, so let's pick that one off and we'll go back in with our stamp. Okay, obviously didn't ink it up very well, did I? Okay, and we'll pop another one there, I think. And we'll have one more. Oh, sorry, I'm off camera. One more in the middle there. Let's just pop that back on. It does help if you put ink on your ink pad, doesn't it? ink on your stamp, I should say. There we go, that's better. And we know that there's one over the side there, so let's just get some embossing powder over there. Okay, I'm just going to grab my heat tool again. So it's warmed up a little bit now, so that should make it easier for us. So let's just heat this bit here. Okay, and this bit here. Ow, don't fall down your fingers, like I just did. Okay, I think that will do. And we'll just run it over the back just to straighten the cardstock out a little bit. Might seem weird, but it does work. Okay, and I'm just going to swipe away that embossing powder that I've spilt on my mat. Okay, because we don't want to heat that and then have it on my grid paper. Okay, so I did exactly what I told you not to do there, and I heated that with the lid open. So do as I say, not as I do. Okay, right, so let's move that all out of the way. So here's our panel. So really quickly done, but we've made it shiny. Oh, I've just noticed we've got one I haven't heated there. Let's just bring this heat gun back in quickly. Until it's actually heated, it will brush off. So if you get one where you don't want one, until you've actually heated the powder, you could brush it off. Okay, so there we go. So there's our finished panel with our embossed bits. And we're going to mount that up onto our card front like that. Okay. Right, so let's just bring some glue in to do that. Now I like to use wet glue when I'm positioning, particularly when I'm filming, because it just does give you a little bit of wiggle room that double-sided tape doesn't do. So when you're trying to put things together in the air, it's not always easy to get them lined up. So let me just line that up off camera with the top. Okay, and then we can check that we've got the appropriate amount of, there we go, the appropriate amount of blue showing around. So that's the front to go onto our card. So this will be our card like this, and then this piece will mount up on there so that when you open it, you'll get a double gatefold like that. Now this bit is a bit bare on its own, so we're going to go back in with our Versamark and do a watermark effect down this right hand side, because you will see this right hand side when the card's opened. You could add a strip of DSP, or if you'd done a one sheet wonder to do the front of your card, you could then use a section of it on this card, on this section here. But just to get this done, I'm just going to go down with the larger of the group of Snowflake stamps, and I don't know if you can see that, that just gives that sort of slightly shiny watermark, and that ink will dry and then you'll still be able to see it. Okay, so we've stuck our panel on there, so the next thing we need to do is work out to stick our panel on here. So it needs to cover that half pardon me, that half flap that we've got. So I think the best way to do that is to add the glue to our flap on the other side. So I do apologise if I keep slipping out of focus, or sorry, out of shot, because the camera doesn't pick up my whole desk. Okay, so in order to get that level, we've got to fold that back. So if you hold that down really carefully there and come back in with our panel, and then again, because it's wet glue, we should be able to line up our panel with the fold of the card. There you go, that's got that there. Just give it a good press down till it's stuck. Don't put too much glue on, because you don't want it to do exactly what that's done and to come out of the back. Okay, so turn that over and give that a good press to make sure that's down. So that's our two panels. So that's our front panel, and that's our watermarked panel there. Next thing we need to do is do something to go inside it, because obviously you can't write on Night of Navy. So I've got another panel here, and what I'm going to do with that, I'm just going to go back in with some of the colours that we've used for the front, and I'm just going to stamp half on and half off the edge. Oh, again, I forgot my mat, didn't I? What did I do with it? There it is. Okay, I'm just going to stamp on down the edge with the Coastal Cabana and bring in the Highland Heather and put a little bit of a snowflake in there just to give us some pattern inside. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put our sentiment in there. Now, there are some really nice sentiments in this stamp set. We've got Thank You Snow Much, so that would be good for Christmas thank you cards. Happy Hanukkah, because not everybody celebrates Christmas, which is really nice to see that. May your season sparkle, Snowflake wishes for a Merry Christmas, our friendship is one of a kind. In the coldest moments of the year, my heart is warm because you're near. That's a little bit twee for me. But I do like the our friendship is one of a kind. So what I'm going to do is grab that stamp. Okay, I think that is actually quite nicely paired up with May Your Season Sparkle. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take off that other one. And I think on the inside we're going to go with May Your Season Sparkle. So let's make sure I've got the right stamp and it's actually the right way up. Yep, so I'm going to stamp that in Coastal Cabana. Trying to get above the camera so I can get it reasonably straight. Okay, so that's going to go on the inside of our card. And then I feel like we just need something to finish off the front of that card. It's very pretty, but it needs a focal point, I feel. So if we just stick in this middle panel. I've got stamps everywhere and I'm trying really hard not to put my almost finished card down onto the ink on my blocks. Right, okay, so this bit's going in the middle, so we're just going to line that up just with a little bit of a border. Okay, that'll do. And you can see I've made a boo-boo and I've got a little bit of ink there, so I'm just going to bring in my Tombow mono rubber and just give that a little bit of a rub out, and providing you haven't got too much ink, it's usually enough to, if not take it away completely, to fade it out a little bit. And obviously once I write in this card, that'll cover most of that up. So that's got rid of most of that little smudge there. Okay, so that's the inside of our card. That's that bit and that's that bit. And we need something just to zhuzh it up a little bit more, I think. So what I'm going to do is go in with, this is not a Christmas ribbon, but it just reminds me of snowballs, this white polka dot ribbon. So I think what we'll do is do a nice big blousey bow. So we're going to do bunny ears. So we've got our 2 loops, tie them round, see what this looks like. Okay. And I haven't forgotten that I was going to put another sentiment on the front of the card, and I'll get to that in a minute. Okay. There isn't really a right side and a wrong side on this organza, but I do like my bunny ears to be sticking out in the right direction. Bring my ribbon scissors in. Okay, so it's a nice big bow. And we need a sentiment to go on the front of there. Okay, yeah, that'll do, I think. Let's just get that twisted around properly. So for the sentiment, I was wondering about using one of our larger punches, but I'm not sure if they are going to be big enough. So which sentiment did I decide to use? Friendship is one of a kind. Let's go for it, shall we, and see if it'll fit. So I'm just going to grab a piece of scrap white, and this one's going to be in the Highland heather. Let's just see if it'll fit. So we've got to allow for the fact that we're going to be punching around the outside of it. Oh, nearly forgot my mat again, didn't I? Okay. Let's see. So I've bought in one of the fancy labels. And let's just see if we can make it fit. Oh, just. It's going to slightly take off the corner. Don't know if you can see that. Slightly take off the corner of the F and the corner of the D. We'll go with that. Okay. And then just to stop it being so stark against the edge of that card, which is white, we're just going to go over the... So I'm just bringing in the Highland heather on a sponge, and I'm just going around the edge. That just takes that stark whiteness away. And I'm just going to very gently ink over the top as well, so that makes that more purple than white. It doesn't obscure our greeting. Okay, so we've got our greeting down here. Now what I probably should have done is run a piece of that polka dot ribbon across the front. Let me just move some stuff so you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, I should have run that polka dot ribbon across the front, but I'd already stuck it down, so it was too late. So what we're going to do is we're going to just raise this up on some dimensionals. Find them stacked under everything else on my desk. Okay. There we go. So don't really want to obscure too many of the silver snowflakes, so I think we'll go for that there. But we have got that little spot up there, I don't know if you remember, where we weren't stamping on the mat, so I think that might be a good place to put our bow. So I'm just popping another dimensional on there, and I'm going to stick the knot of the bow over the dimensional. And then I think because it's Christmas, we need a little bit of bling on those snowflakes. So I am going to bring back in these lovely blue gems that go with it. And as I said in an earlier video, these are darker, so I think they will pick up quite nicely on the navy. So I'm just going to pop a couple of those into the middle of these purple snowflakes. So that's 3 on there. It's always good to have things in odd numbers. And then just to finish it off, I am going to add one of the paler blue ones down there in the middle. There you go. That's not too bad for crafting on the hoof, is it? So just zhoosh with that ribbon a bit later, but there is our finished double gatefold card, and hopefully you'll agree that that's actually not too bad for crafting as you go. So that's all for me for today, and I will be back soon with some more. I absolutely love this set, so expect to see lots more Snowflake Splendour, and hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again soon. Happy stamping!